Hey y'all, it's Cindy Gillen, 7-time figure Olympia here, and today we are starting our how-to video. So what I'm going to do during this process, I'm going to give you ideas of how to train specific body parts, what the movement is working, how it's working it, and kind of how to build your form around it. Now keep in mind, I'm going to give a disclaimer. This is the form that I utilize. Certain people utilize different movements in terms of like momentum and different things like that. So keep in mind, the form I'm teaching you is how I train the muscle. Now, sometimes if I remember, I'll kind of tell you the differences of how you could do it if you want to do it a different way, but I'm going to stick to strict form and how I utilize it. Alright, so today on the how-to video, we're going to start with working out shoulders, okay? We're going to start with dumbbells. I'm going to give you dumbbell variations, and I'm going to give you machine variations, so that way you can tailor it to what you have access to at your gym or when you travel. AKA, if you come to Madhouse, you'll see a couple of the machines I can use there, so that way you know how to use them when you get here to visit. Now, I'm going to put these down so I can showcase what we are going to do. Alright, so if you have your dumbbells, first things first, I look at my feet. I make sure my feet are nice and level. Sometimes people will either have a little stance or this way or not recognize where their feet actually are when they are training. So in this one, I'm going to keep my feet nice and about shoulder to hip width, like anywhere in between where it's comfortable. From that point, I'm going to keep my abs tight and get my dumbbells, and I'm going to set up. Okay, I'm going to take the inside of the dumbbell, place it around the side of my thighs. So if I turn to the side, it's like this for my start of the motion, okay? Turning back to the front, checking my feet again. From this motion, I'm going to push down and then push out to the side, okay? So a lot of people, you'll see them kind of just swing. Your motion does not need to go up here in order to activate that medial delt. What it's going to do is activate that trap. And nobody wants a thick neck unless you're a football player and you're doing those little neck things, you know. If you don't want to do that, keep the traps down. Feel that tension go up here. You can stop about right here. It's where you feel it in your medial delt. Now, medial delt, for those who don't know, you have front delt, medial delt, rear or posterior delt, okay? Right here with the lateral raises, your goal is to work your medial delt. So that's where you should be feeling it if you are doing lateral raises on the machine, dumbbells, no matter what. That's where you should be feeling it, okay? So another reference point, I'm going to do it from the side too, because when you're moving the weight, and you're pushing down. Again, I have a good grip. I'm going to push away from the body, but when I'm pushing away from the body, keep in mind my plane is the same. I'm not going this way, and I'm not swinging this way. I'm going to go here, straight out to the side, and back. Now, for me, I like to have a little soft bend in my knees, so that way I'm not like locked out really, really stiff. I'm going to get a soft bend and then set up, push out, come back down. Push out, come back down. Now, that's going to be a strict form. If you want to do more of a momentum form, which there's nothing wrong with it, just recognize what's going to be activated when you do momentum. When you do momentum, what you're going to do is you're going to basically swing it. So it hits down. You're still going to hit the medial delt, but you're more than likely going to engage traps. So if you're in bikini, if you're in figure, if you're in wellness, you do not want to be engaging all of your neck muscles, okay? If you're a women's physique or women's bodybuilding, you can afford to have a little bit more oomph to this area, but if you're in those smaller categories, you need to make sure that you're training according to what your goals are, and that is to not have big traps. All right, moving on. All of these first movements, they can be done in the same place. So if you're in a crowded gym, you can stand right here and be in the same place. So next first, I'm gonna go. Same thing, checking my feet, making sure my hips are neutral, my feet are neutral. I'm gonna sit a little bit, have my hands by the side. I'm going to go into a front raise, okay? That's for my front delts we talked about earlier. So when I push up, I'm going to push up, 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 up. You can either keep the hands here, you can turn them down, you can turn them in. Those are all different variations of the same exercise, okay? So if I want to do a standard one, I'm just going here for front raise. My hands are staying exactly the same, both facing each other. If I'm going to turn them down, turn down here, and then here. Now, you don't need to go all the way back here, because majority of the time, if you go here, you're going to be swinging. So if you want more of a stiff form, keep it here, push down, push down. But again, that's just a different variation you can do if I'm pushing here or if I'm going to the side and pushing here. So it just depends on what type of range of motion you are trying to accomplish and where you're feeling it the most. So remember, hand position options. You have forward facing, where your fists are punching towards the front. You have palm down, and then you have tilted, like you're kind of tilting the T. So for the tilt T one, you're going to push up, tilt, control down, push up, tilt, and control down. Again, you can use momentum if you choose to. Just recognize what happens when you do utilize momentum. So stiff form, set. Hands, neutral, push. Same thing, push away from the body, push up. Okay, I'm not going up here. I'm staying in line with my shoulder from the side, in line with my shoulder. So always focus on the range of motion and paying attention to what you are doing when you are training. So again, this is exercise 2 for shoulders. When you're planning your exercise for shoulders, think of creating a well-rounded 3D shoulder. So in order to have a well-rounded 3D shoulder, you need to work the front, the side, the back, so that the whole shoulder is like one big pumpkin bubble, okay? So when you're planning your workouts, it doesn't have to be the same order every time. Ideally, if you're building for growth, you can keep the exact same movements and progressively overload them for a certain amount of time. For me, shoulder workouts, I've done the same exact shoulder workout for 3 years now at this point. So it doesn't need to change that much. I'm going to stick with my bases and then change the machines I utilize, or if I do machine versus dumbbell or cable versus dumbbell. So kind of just pay attention to those things. You do not need to change everything. You just change the apparatus you use to accomplish the same goal. Okay? All right. Option 2. Nope, I lied. 3. So we've already got medial delt. We've got front delt. Now, what I didn't mention is, depending on, I feel like everybody should warm up, but depending on your rotator cuff issues or lack thereof, you can warm up by simply just kind of doing external rotations. You just can do this no weight. You can do it 2.5 pounds. You can go up here and rotate, rotate, rotate. The goal is to warm up the joint before you start going into the muscle. So the key thing is, everybody wants to gain muscle. A lot of people want to gain muscle. Let me rephrase. A lot of people want to gain muscle, but they're not doing the before work that has to happen in order for that muscle to function properly and that joint to function properly and your body to function properly. So it's even with leg days, you should be warming up. Shoulder days, you should be warming up. Back days, you should be warming up before you go into those working sets. So always be cognizant of all the steps you're doing so that you're creating longevity in the sport and then longevity in life in general. So this is even for people who don't compete and never want to compete in their lives. Your basic movements you need to warm up before you get going, especially as you age. All right, exercise 3, back on task. We have bent over rear delt flies, okay? So if you're gonna do these with a dumbbell, first I'm gonna tell you what not to do, okay? So if I have my dumbbells, again, I'm setting my feet up, right, I'm good. When I'm doing a rear delt fly, I'm not going to swing my arms all the way behind me because what that's going to do is engage my entire trap. So when I'm thinking about training and doing these movements, I want the movement to be exactly in the place I want it to be, not in any additional body parts that have nothing to do with what I got going on, okay? So when I'm doing a rear delt fly, I only want to feel it in my rear delt. I don't want to feel it in my lat. I don't want to feel it in my chest. I don't want to feel it in my trap. I don't want to feel it anywhere else. I want to feel majority of that movement in that area. So with that being said, everybody's range of motion is different when it comes to rear delts, in particular because the way the elbow is on multiple body parts is just a little bit different. So for me to feel my rear delts, I have to drop my elbow down and kind of do more of a palm upwards motion in order for me to feel my rear delts. Now, if you watch the machines, when we go to a machine, you'll see. If you watch like a pec deck fly machine and you see everybody kind of just swinging back kind of like this, that's going to be a no. Okay, your range of motion can be this small for your rear delts. It does not need to be anything extensive, okay, as long as you're feeling it. So if I'm going to do this version of rear delt flies, I'm going to get my weight. You do not need a lot of weight for the rear delts. It's a very, very small muscle. All right, I'm going to go here. Now, you can go palms together or you can go palm out. Usually, I go palm out because that's where I feel it the most. And I'll push, 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 squeeze, and come back down. Push out, squeeze, and come back down. Note my range of motion. It is not all the way swinging up. I'm right here. I feel it all in my rear delts right here, no higher. Everything is burning. Only my rear delts are burning, and I'm coming back down. Push out and come back down. Okay? So again, if you're doing this motion, even if you're a beginner, start with lightweight. Start with your 5 pounds, start with a 2.5 to get the form down first. Then build the weight from there. But keep in mind, again, you do not need to throw all the weight in the world in any of your motions, okay? So you want to find and make sure that you have the activation, and then you build upon the activation. If you don't feel nothing with little weight, you're not going to feel it with the big weight, okay? Find it with the form first, and then build from there. Exercise 4. You can place exercise 4 in the front, in the middle, in the end. It just depends what you do. If I'm on a dumbbell shoulder press, depending on the weight too, because you got to remember too, once that weight goes up, you need to get into that position properly. So say this weight was like 40 pounds, okay? I'm going to show you what I'm going to do from the side to make sure I'm safely getting it up. I'm going to get my feet set. My abs are going to be tight. I'm going to brace my core, and I'm going to go like, boom, to get up first. But keep in mind, when I go up, I'm getting up. My elbows have not left the side of my body, okay? So when you swing up, you don't want to swing all wide and go like that, because that's going to affect your joint, okay? So if the weight is heavy, you're really trying to push for like 8 to 10 reps or less. I'm going to pop up first, then get set. My abs are going to be tight. Then I'm going to rotate out and get my shoulders set. From this point, you do not need to do full range of motion unless you choose to. For years, I didn't do full range of motion because it's going to go more into my triceps, and I need my triceps to grow. So, but we're going to teach you the basics, okay? So if I'm pushing all the way up with no extras, I'm going to go up here, let my shoulders keep nice and level, my wrists are nice and straight, and I'm going to come back down. Passing through my ear line, okay? From the side, it looks like this. I'm pushing past my ear line, squeezing the top of the motion, coming back down, okay? Now, I don't need to come all the way down here and release. I want to keep that pressure on the shoulder. I'm going to go here, push up past the ear line, and push back down. Now, when you come up, you do not need to kind of click it. Now, you can. That's the way. If you want to click it that way, you can. Whole thing is, while I'm doing this motion, my feet are stable, my abs are tight, my chest is up, my posture is perfect before I start the motion. So a lot of people will make this one big mistake of not focusing on posture. If you focus on posture while you're training, all of that translates over to the stage, okay? So I'm going to give you one more exercise you can do with dumbbell. So far, we've gone through lateral raises, which you can use as a warm-up or a finisher. Either or, doesn't matter. You got your lateral raises. You have your front delt dumbbell raises. You have your rear delt flies. Fourth option was your dumbbell shoulder press. Last option here, you're going to have your dumbbell Arnold's, okay? Your dumbbell Arnold presses. This is what these are called. Now, keep in mind, all of these motions can be done seated. When you take a seat, you take away the ability to use as much momentum because your legs are not a part of the process at all. So keep in mind, if you want to push a little bit harder and take the weight down, take a seat with those lateral raises. Take a seat with those rear delt flies and things like that. So that way you have all of that in your wheelhouse. I will show you what that looks like so you can set your seat and have all that perfect if you want to do the seated versions. So keep in mind, if we have seated versions and we have standing versions, I'm already giving you 10 exercises you could do that you could max out and do for the long haul, and they're all going to be your staples in order for those rail-rounded shoulders to really pop. Now, keep in mind, if I've already given you 10 exercises just standing and seated, you now have 10 more exercises when it comes to machines, 10 more exercises when it comes to cables. You can do all of these things on cables. So that's 30 exercises. Okay, maximize these, stick with the staples. You don't need to get fancy, stick with those staples and watch those shoulders grow. Now, one thing you will change is going to be your rep range and your rest time. If your goal is to gain muscle and really push the weight, you can do a rest time of like 90 seconds up to 3 minutes if you're probably really pushing the weight, okay? So that's going to be your rest range. If you're kind of maintaining like me, you can do 45 seconds to a minute and be in and out. And you can also add in supersets. Now, you can also add in supersets when you're doing heavier weight as well. It's just different ways to set up the workout. So it just depends on what your goals are and how you want to manipulate everything. All right, standing Arnold presses look like this. So we already got our base. We got our feet set. We're lifted, we're tall, chest is up. Posture from the side first. My hands are still here because I'm not getting ready yet. This is my base motion first before I do anything else. All right, so I'm here. I'm going to check my feet again because I moved. I'm going to boop, pop that weight up here. Okay, part one, I'm going here. This is what it looks like from the sides. My elbows are tight to my rib cage. My biceps are right around my boobs. My hands are here. There's no other space for me to go back further because my biceps are stopping me, okay? This is how I'm starting. From this motion, I'm going to push up, begin to rotate and up, okay? So how that looks slow-mo is push up, here, boom, boom. Okay, from the front, I'm going here, palms facing me, I'm pushing up and rotating. Push up and rotate. Now keep in mind, again, traps are down, abs are tight, chest is up. I'm pushing up, rotate halfway through and come back down, rotate, palms facing you. So, again, Tight to the chest. Palm facing me. I'm rotating, rotating, rotating. My hand is turning. As I extend to the top, I'm gonna come back down halfway. Palm is starting to rotate down to the bottom, okay? And that is how you do an honor press. You can do that seated, you can do that standing. Now, if we're gonna do that seated, this is what it looks like. Every gym has these benches, or a version like it. I'm gonna get mine all the way up to the top. All right, I want my back real flat. So say I wanna do my laterals, which is our first movement we learned. All right, now I'm seated. My back is supported, my legs are relaxed. I'm just letting my legs just kind of hang over. Depending on how much hammy meat you got, you can kind of position yourself accordingly. All right. Now, if you have a smaller bench, you can also go close together. It's just not comfortable for me to do that, so that's another way you can set it up. If I'm doing my laterals, again, same concept. I got my shoulder blades against the bed. My hands are still in line with my hips. I'm going to push out, boom, come back down. Boom, up here, come back down. That's going to be my laterals. Now, if I want to do my front delts, you do got to kind of bring the legs in a little bit, so if the seat were a little bit lower, it would be better. So usually I want my feet flat, so ignore this part. So I'm here, front delts. Same thing from the side, okay? I'm going to push up, boom, at the top. I'm going to do this version at the top, or I'm going to do my tilt in, tilt the teapot, boom, at the top. Come back down to the sides. Now, you won't necessarily be able to go like down here how we did at the front. That's going to be the main difference. So your range of motion is back here, shoulder blades against the pad, feet are generally grounded, and you're going to push up. Okay, that's your front delts. Now, rear delts. I'm going to slide to the end of my seat. I'm going to get my feet out of here a little bit. I like to come under here, under my legs. So version 1 is keeping the palms facing each other. I'm pushing out, same range of motion as I did when I was standing up. Boom. Okay, other option. Turn the inside of the dumbbells facing the back of the seat. I'm going to push out. I go to the front with that version. Okay? Straight past the shoes, squeeze, come back down. Go out, squeeze, come back down. Option 4, I'm sliding back now. Get my legs back open where I'm nice and comfy. Shoulder blades against the pad, chest is up, boom, I'm here. All right, I'm going to push up. These are my Arnolds. I'm going here, boom, straight up, nice strict form, in line with my ears, coming back down. Now, if the weight is heavier, what I want you to pay attention to is how I dismount. I'm going to go in, I'm going to pull in tight to protect my shoulders, my rotator cuffs. I'm going to let my arms come down a little bit lower so my dumbbells are in line with my chest. I'm going to pick up here, let it land, hold, pick up here, meet me, and land, okay? How that looks in reversal. If I want to get the heavy weight up, I'm going to kick up, hold, okay? Master this with light weights first, so that way you don't hurt yourself when you're trying to really push yourself and go for the gusto. All right, y'all. That is your shoulder press dumbbell variations. Again, all of these things can be done on machines, depending on what machines you have. The whole purpose of this is to show you the form that you should think about, the steps that you should think about as you go into training those shoulders. Let's build those 3D muscles. And as always, again, have your supplements ready. Have your Evogen supplements. Your pre-workout can be, if you don't need stimulants, EVP 3D. If you do like the stimulants, EVP Extreme, okay? That's your pre-workout. In between your workout, Amino Chem. After your workout, Cell Chem if you're really trying to grow those muscles. All right, y'all. See you on the next how-to video.